I think we're live. I'm getting emails. All right, we're trying something new, you guys. We're going to see how this goes. It's a little different. Rocking out the, oh, this is cool. Okay, so I've got OBS running so that I can have both my screen and my camera all going at the same time. It's very exciting. It's a little overwhelming. It's a lot of technology all at once. We'll see if I survive this. I'll try. I will sincerely try. Oh, but hey, look, people are here. Exciting. How's it going, you guys? What's happening? All right, I'm trying to get it so that I can see all the comments. I can see everything that's going on. Hello again. Yes, I tried this earlier and it didn't work. And so now I'm back and we're going to try running all this together. Can you see me? Do we see what's going on? Yeah, we can see. Okay, cool. This is a little bit of a different setup. Hi, Casey from Toronto, Canada. Toronto, right? It's not Toronto. It's Toronto, from what I've heard. Maybe I'm saying it totally wrong. So I've got a picture here today that I took yesterday. This was around the same shoot when if you saw my Instagram today, you saw I posted a picture with like that chair, that really funky chair that I picked up out of the trash heap of the neighbors, and then I shot the little bowl on it. Well, then I did some close-ups of just the bowl by itself. So I wanted to go ahead. This has not been edited yet, so I figured, why not edit it for you? Does that sound good? Yes, you can. I love it. Hey, Chris, how are you? Glad to have you here. Morocco. I think this is maybe a good time to catch people, too, because what is it, 2 o'clock here? So that would make it, well, that's like 9 p.m. in London, right? I've got kids in the background, too, fair warning. Like, this is totally on a whim, just me playing around with software. So we'll see. They might invade. But anyway, you guys want to edit a photo with me? Can you see the photo? We can see the photo and what's going on. We can see all of the whole Lightroom setup, yeah? 5 p.m. in Canada, very nice. 10 p.m. in London. Oh, okay. Midnight where you are, very good. All right, so anyway, so what I've got going on in this bowl, and nice. Oliver's in Germany, places that I would love to go. I hope to get to take the show overseas at some point, because we are, if you missed it, I've got workshops coming up in Denver, Colorado in August, and we've got San Diego, California in July, and the Denver is nearly all booked up. Like, I think I've got 2 spots left. I've got a couple still left for San Diego. Like, I want to say 5 spots left. So if you are in those cities or can be in those cities, have a desire to go to those cities, then feel free to book those up. Those are all, I've got it all linked down below. So it's at thebiteshot.com in the store. So if you want to go check it out. All right, so let's do some editing, shall we? Shall we? And if you want, Blaze, you want to come say hi? Come say hi to the peeps. Say hi, peeps. Can you see them?
Hi.
Here, we'll pull up the camera so you can see yourself. Kids always like to see themselves. Oh, don't pick your nose on camera. The whole world is watching
No,
you.
I'm not picking my nose.
Oh, good. Okay. The whole world is watching you, sweetheart. Did you say hi to them?
Hi.
So, anyways, all right, we're going to edit a photo, all right? Let's do some photo editing. All right. So we are looking good. We can do this. All right. So in terms of this image, where I usually start is by straightening it out. Oh, Amanda, hey, what's up? How are you? Let's see. Ooh, good. Okay, so we can edit together. Good. Yes, Amanda was with me actually last Saturday. We had so much fun, but let's walk through it, shall we? So what I very first like to start off with is, oh, don't shake my table, okay? I like to start off by straightening the image. And so, here, do you want a hands off the table? There we go. All right, because we don't want these poor people seeing the camera shake. So this one feels a little tilted. So what I'm going to do, we go into the crop tool, right, where actually this last week's video. So you can do that. All right. So we'll go ahead, and it doesn't need a ton of straightening. I'm not going to use the little crossbar thing that I did the other day, because this just needs just a little skosh. I'm really looking to line up these lines that are going backwards in space, so that just feels a little bit more natural. There we go. And now, of course, we know that when we tilt an image, that's changing the crop of the image, and so I do constrain to crop so it automatically crops it. If I didn't do that and you looked, you would see the edges, but I'm going to go ahead and constrain it so that it crops it. And there we go, looking good. I do not build my own fixed presets. I just kind of stick with my standard edits. I have built some presets that are sort of typical to my style, but to be honest, I kind of build every picture individually. I enjoy the editing process. I have never personally found any presets that I've ever purchased that I've really liked. I know there are some people who are hardcore big fans of presets, so certainly if you have presets that you love, feel free to drop them in. I'm sure other people would love to see those. So yeah. Is it streaming at 480p? Maybe I still have to figure out how to do this. I thought I set it up so that it would stream at a higher bit rate. If I'm not, then maybe things that I need to continue to learn. But anyway, if anybody else is having a hard time seeing this, let me know. Anyway, all right, so back in. Now what I'm going to do, I typically tell people I like to start down at the dehaze, but honestly, it's a pretty solid image. There's not a lot of haze going on there. I don't really want to darken it up there. I'm going to do more of that in the clarity, so I'm actually not going to dehaze on this one. What I'm going to do, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Sometimes I'll see enable profile correction, so this is based on the lens that we were shooting with, and this we can see was my 100mm lens, which is my 100mm macro f2.8 lens, which actually I had at 100mm, and the f was 2.8. So we'll go ahead and see. Sometimes this will fix those edges, just kind of brighten them out because there's sort of that natural shadowing that can happen. So I actually kind of like that, brightens up the edges, so I will leave that like yay. And then sharpening. I like to add some sharpening. And then I've got the masking down here, and you guys can see that I'm building backwards. This is just the process. This is the way that I like to do it. I mean, somebody mentioned in the workshop last weekend, like, it would be nice to, you know, kind of rearrange the modules, which maybe you can do. I've just never figured that out. If you can do that, let me know. So I'm going to add just a little bit of sharpening, but I don't want to sharpen everything. So we're going to go ahead and hold down the Option. I'm on a Mac, so hold down Option and drag, and everything that is in white is being sharpened. So I don't want to sharpen the whole image. I just want to sharpen kind of the edges of the bowl and the edges of the food, and of course those all-important chopsticks. A little further, right there. That looks good. All right. Oh, yeah, 480p default for YouTube Live. Okay, I'll have to play. Well, yeah, so that's like 2.0 for the streaming, is to figure out how to rig this so that I can be, I've got my old trusty dusty camera right here. I tried figuring it out, and I was like, we'll just save that for later. One step at a time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So next time, hopefully I'll have it rigged up to my camera, and we'll have better quality resolution. So, okay. But we're still able to get the general gist. Okay, question. Do you notice sharpening taking place? Find it hard to... It's very subtle. So many of these changes are so very subtle. I mean, if we took the sharpening off and then we added it, it's not huge. It's just, to me, it adds a little bit of crispness on the edges of those little guys, but it's not huge. So you could probably do without if you wanted to. All right. All right, so now at this point, looking at, I'm going to skip the colors. I usually finish with the colors. I'm going to jump up to the top here and pull back the shadows a little bit so that I get a little bit more light here on the front right side. And I'm going to tone down the highlights just a bit because, of course, we got a lot of brightness going on in there. I don't want to lose that because I kind of like that magical little feel in the background, and I like how the light kind of draws in a zigzag pattern there. I think that works. Good, Gary. I'm glad that works. Subtle. It's all about subtle, right? Yeah, definitely. It's kind of up to you. You can do it. Makes more difference in certain pictures than others, but it's not something you have to do it. Now, it is something that you can take it too far, although clarity is where you're going to see it more, but if you take sharpness too far, you'll start to get some extra grain. But all right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the blacks because this feels pretty dark. We look at our histogram, we got a lot of darks going on over here, right? And we have very little lights. And I'm okay with that because it's a dark image, so I'm not going to try to make this like a perfect, right? Like there's maybe some people believe there's like a perfect arc that you need to have in your histogram. I don't necessarily ascribe to that thought process, but I do want to just kind of balance it out a little bit more, just so there's a bit more contrast. So I'm going to pull this up. And I also like, I mean, even when I'm doing dark images, I still like sort of that airy sort of feel a little bit. I mean, I like things defined, I like it controlled, but I like a little bit of airiness, so pulling back the blacks just a bit. And then I'm also going to pull up the whites, but I want to be careful because I don't want to blow out the tofu, right? That's like, of course, we're like, you know, blowing out the highlights here on the chopsticks, and I'm okay with that, but it's more about not wanting to blow out this tofu on the back. So pull up the shadows a little bit more. Now I'm going to adjust this because you say, whoa, this is getting a lot lighter and airier, but it's okay. We got the tone curve still. We still got the tone curve to get into. All right, and I think I'm going to leave the exposure where it is. I like the brightness. Now, one little thing is this is a new monitor, at least new to me, so I'm not sure if it's properly calibrated, so my apologies. That's a new video coming soon as well, so I got to calibrate this monitor. All right, I am going to increase the clarity just a hair. There we go. Kind of extract more of the texture from that board down there. And then, of course, we got this black rice. And so we want to make sure that we really get some definition in that. And we see that rice. I think it looks so cool. All right. And then we come down into here. And then this is where, so this is the tone curve. And this is where I like to just crush the blacks a little bit. This is maybe something that's a little trendy right now, right, where we crush the blacks. It's literally removing the blacks from this portion of the histogram, that they are no longer the blackest black. They are more of a gray black, because we look at the tone curve and it goes on a scale from blackest black to whitest white. And so we are literally, by moving this up, you just go in and you pick it up and move it up. If you're not having that and you're like, how do you access that? Just hit this, and that, if it's like this and you have all the little sliders, you can't do that the same. So you gotta hit the little guy right there, and then I can crush the blacks a little bit. To me, it gives it sort of a cinematographic quality, but it is making it airier. So then that's when I go down and I pull down the shadows, and it just, ooh, buddy, that rounds it out. That makes life great, makes it pop. It does intensify the colors just a little bit. You know, anytime we are messing around with contrast and tones, things like that, it is going to affect our colors. So just something to keep in mind there. We all following along? So Melinda wants to know, would it be easier to go auto tonal adjustment than change what you want to as you go? You certainly could, if you wanted sort of a guide of where to take you. For me, I just kind of like personally making each of those adjustments, but I know a lot of people like to, you know, have a baseline in auto, and there's nothing wrong with that, so definitely something to check out. All right, let's see. Chris wants to know, what do I feel about crushing the blacks for food photos? I like to. I mean, I do it in probably 95% of the images I do. I've crushed the blacks. I rarely have the blackest black in any images, but that's like a style thing, because I know there's Her Dark Materials is an Instagram account that I love to follow, and I mean, she rocks those super blacks so well. She does such a great job at it, and I totally love her style. It's just for me and what I'm kind of going with in terms of my style, so I'd say it's up to you. All right. Did I get all the questions so far? Questions about beverages. Lots of people want to know about beverages. I will say I'm not a beverage expert, but I do know a couple things, and I've shot plenty of beverages for clients, so I will happily share a video coming up on that. All right. So, oh, Chris, he's a blacks crusher. I love it. All right. So now I'm going to lift the darks just a little bit. See how that looks? Oh, see how nice that looks? It just rounds it out. We got the nice shadow falling in the front, lights all the way around the back. Clearly, I'm having too much fun. Pull down the shadows a bit more, because I do like this contrast, because we've got a white bowl, which is kind of gray here, and we've got some really nice darkness here. To me, it kind of just sets it on a base, right? That you've got that. I don't know. Just from a contrast perspective, that makes me happy. So we're gonna stick with that. All right. And how much do I love these little sprouts? I mean, I love these sprouts because I love using those in food styling. Just because the way the light plays with them, I mean, you get these beautiful little curves on there and just like little sparkles. You do want to make sure when you put them on something that you kind of lay them over. You can see how I've laid them over. This was like tweezers action. Don't think that this just all got thrown in together. This is a lot of meticulous tweezer placement with the carrots and everything, but that you've got sort of these crisscross patterns of them overlaying one another. That's really helpful from a styling perspective whenever you're playing with sprouts. So we've also got a little bit of cilantro in there. All right. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go into the colors because now I want to play with the colors. All right. The colors are my favorite. Well, it's all my favorite. Okay, so I'm going to start off with these oranges because, of course, these pieces of carrot are kind of prominent in terms of the colors, and I like the interplay, the contrast of the orange, like the warm oranges with the cooler, but still kind of warmer greens, but now we can kind of play with the tones and the hues of those. So I'm going to leave that the color orange that it is. I'm not going to add any reds or yellows to it. We could do that by sliding this right here. Instead, I'm just going to play around with the luminance a little bit and just pull that. Actually, I might leave it. I'll just pull it down a little bit. I like to take down the luminance sometimes, a lot of times, because I feel like it kind of, especially for food, it really makes things look richer. Especially too if you've got a situation where you've got something that's maybe a little blown out. It's another way to reclaim some of that color, like a pizza crust with a lot of yellows and oranges. You can dial down the luminance there on the colors, and that'll really help and just add some richness, but I'm not going to go super crazy there, just a little bit. And then the greens, the all-important greens. I tweak the greens in every single photo I do. I don't think I ever leave the greens alone. I always play with them. And usually I will throw them a little further to the right. Not too far. You don't want to make them look like they're aliens. We've got alien edamame. That's not good. And then I'm actually going to, see, kind of like that. Yeah, taking... Can't make up my mind. I'm gonna leave it down because then you got to think about how's the light falling, and the light is falling so that this is in shadow. If these were too bright, that would look unnatural, I think. So we're gonna take it down just a bit, but I'm gonna really kind of leave it. I'm not gonna mess with it too much there. And I think that looks pretty good. Now I do want to play a little bit more with the tone curve. Ooh, too far. There we go. All right. There we go. And don't worry, I even talk to myself when I typically edit. All right. Question from Booked NG is, do you consider the way the restaurant serves you or just do it your way? Oh, like when I'm shooting for a restaurant? Depends on the restaurant, depends on the budget. If it's just like a quick snap for like a newspaper, that they don't really have to be super styled, and we're really just kind of taking a picture of the food for a newspaper article or something like that, then typically I'll just take what they got and do it. Now I will always, do some cleanup on the plate if they didn't do it, if there's maybe little spots, or I'll rearrange things just a little bit. But if I'm not getting paid to style, then I'm not going to do the styling. So, but there are plenty of shoots where either I'm charging for styling services or I'm hiring a food stylist to be with me, and in which case, then yes, we definitely do change the food up, monkey with it. It depends on the restaurant. Some of them don't really want you to deviate from what the dish would look like if somebody got served it, and which you should do in general, right? That the way we're styling it should really be the way it shows up to the diner when they show up to the restaurant, so that there's not like, hey, I saw this advertisement and then I came here and it looks completely different. So that is important for restaurants, just that truth in advertising kind of concept. But there's plenty of times where maybe you want to be more artistic and creative with it, maybe just depending on the brand, the restaurant, how that works. But it definitely helps if you're working with a chef or a food stylist who really know how to make food look beautiful. That makes your job as a photographer a lot more fun. So, all right. So I think we're getting pretty close. What I'm going to do is here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a little graduated filter. You guys remember this video? Or for those of you that are familiar with this functionality, I did a video about it, about the radial and the graduated filters a couple weeks ago. So if you're like, what the heck is this? Go watch that video. I explain all about it. But I just want to add a little bit of, I just want to dull this corner a little bit. It feels a little much to me. Actually, maybe I'm going to dull the whole side. Whoa, too far. There we go. Okay. And actually, I'm going to pull that over a bit more. Don't worry, we're going to erase with the brush tool. So knock out all those effects. And then I'm just going to throw down the highlights a little bit. And you can see in the little preview window, or I could just take the mask overlay off and you can see what I'm doing here. Too much. There we go. All right. I think that looks pretty good. I think we're looking all right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the brush and I'm going to erase so that it's not dulling the bowl as well. Show my overlay and make my brush a little bit bigger. So I selected the erase. Too big. Whoa. All right, there we go. And now I just want to erase so that it's not dulling this portion of the bowl. We just want to make sure it's dulling just around. There we go. This is where I need a nice little stylus. That's going to be my 2.0. Right now we're still in not so fancy mode, but it's okay. The mouse works too. All right, there we go. And dial this. And right there, just, oh, Command Z, too far. Here, let's zoom in. There we go. Come here, buddy. Oh, too many keys. There we go. All right. Where did it go? Oh, I had done this. I lost track. Okay, there we go. And the brush and erase. Too far. There we go. Oi. And just erase it off the chopsticks too. But don't go too far because then we'll get a little halo effect and that won't be cute. All right. Look good? Look good? Let's zoom back out. Looks nice. Look at that. So it just kind of dulled that edge so it's not quite so hot as it was before, but yeah. All right, so Chris wants to know how many pictures do I send back to a client from a 1-hour photo shoot? Well, it depends on what the contract was. Sometimes, like I've done shoots where there was 2 pictures that came out of an hour shoot. Now it was, because I'm trying to think, like sometimes when I work with a stylist, we're notorious for we'll do like a whole 8-hour day would be 8 dishes, and generally I would get 2 different shots out of each dish. So in that case, 16 images for an 8-hour day, but that's for very highly styled, highly, lots of concept going into it, lots of preparation, lots of propping. So in that case, whereas there's others, I don't do these as much anymore because they're not my favorite, but where you're kind of going in and, getting a bunch of shots that's not styled, you don't have a food stylist with you, and you're just getting basic shots for them, then usually I say I can do about 5, let's think, about 5 dishes in an hour, 5 to 6 dishes in an hour with a guarantee of at least 3 images per dish. So if you did 5 times 3, 15 in an hour. So it just depends on the setup. It depends on the food, depends on the scenario. Like it kind of depends, which is the worst answer. And I know it's super frustrating. But yeah, so it kind of depends on the scenario and situation, but hopefully that answered your question. Melinda wants to know, what food photographers did you look at to idea? I am always looking at all the food photographers because you get so many great ideas. And I think that's such a great way to learn too, is by looking at images that you enjoy and then like reverse engineering it and figuring out if you can produce an image with that kind of style or that lighting or that vibe or that, that I think that's such a valuable thing. I mean, of course, Dennis the Prescott, huge favorite of mine. I'm trying to remember, like I can see them, recognize them on my phone. Let's see, do I have my phone? I've got my phone somewhere here. Hold on. Let me get my phone. Do I have my phone? Maybe I don't. But some of my favorite Instagrammers for sure. I can link some of my favorites down below. I love a lot of those moody style folks out of the Pacific Northwest that have kind of that dank dark. I mentioned Her Dark Materials. I love them. Oh, Twig Studios. I love Local Milk. I mean, definitely so many different sources of inspiration. There's a lot of wedding photographers too that I follow that I really enjoy. Caitlin James, I've actually taken some of her courses for portrait work, which are super duper valuable and super duper helpful. I love her work, and it's interesting how when you try different types of photography, how that can change your food photography, because I would say, she's got definitely that bright light sort of ethereal thing going on. Same with Amy Demos. She's another one that they've got kind of that light, bright, what you see in the wedding magazines. And when you apply that to food photography, it's very interesting. And you can actually see, there was a shoot I did after I took one of Caitlin's courses, and just, it was so funny to see how all of a sudden it infused a different sort of style in that. So I always think that is super duper helpful. Trying to think of others. I mean, just Instagram in general. And it is important definitely to, there's certainly photographers who I watch and I just get so excited about their work, and it inspires me and makes me want to go shoot myself, not shoot myself, but shoot, shoot with, food, and gets me excited to do that work. Whereas there's others and I feel this weird competitive vibe with, and I don't know what the difference is between those people, but yeah, I mean, find the people who inspire you and who get you excited to do your own work. And then, I think another big influence, and something that I was thinking about sharing at some point, is that I've got my undergrad degree is in art and art history, and I took some painting classes, and I really love painting, actually. And I think if you looked at my paintings and compared them to my photography style, there is a lot of similarity just in terms of the style, the movement, the lines, the color, the saturation, the vibrancy, the energy. So that'll be something fun to share with you at some point in time. Oh, I love Peter McKinnon. I would actually say that Peter McKinnon is a huge reason why I'm here on YouTube with this channel, because I had another channel, which I no longer contribute to. Maybe I'll throw something up there at some point. A recipes and cooking channel, have over 200 some odd videos over there, but never really got any traction with it. And, I was watching, I'm a huge Peter McKinnon fan, of course, like everybody, right? And I thought, maybe I should share my food photography stuff. I mean, not that, I necessarily am, I'm no Peter McKinnon by any stretch, but certainly, I've got something to share. And so he definitely was a big inspiration in starting the Bite Shot. And so if I ever get to meet him, I will tell him thank you. Oh, I love it. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Oh, so the Food Life wants to know what my day rate is for photos with styling by you. So if I don't really go by day rate, I more go by project, and it's all depending on the brand or the company or whatever. But if I have like a general, like somebody pinned me down and said, what's your day rate? Which again, I've never worked on a day rate. I mean, no, that's not true. I've worked on a day rate before. Day rate, I'd say $1,500 for me, and then the food stylist I work with is $800 for the day. So you combine the two of those, $1,500 plus $800 for a food stylist and a photographer. Yeah, math is not my strong suit. So what is that, $2,300? So just something to think about. And yeah, but that's also very much based here in Phoenix, Arizona, compared to, I would say, if you took us to Los Angeles, California, or New York, or anywhere else, there would, of course, be additional competition, but then also different rates because of the standard of living and, just what's the availability of photographers, those kind of things. So, yeah, hopefully that helps. All right. How much do you usually spend for photography, food, and supplies per shot? I hate this answer. I'm so sorry that I say this all the time. Is that it totally depends. There's certain clients who are just on a budget, and so I'm not going to go spend money if I don't have to. Right now, you set expectations appropriately, but then I've got some clients who are like, yeah, go buy everything and anything you would ever need. But I would say like a good baseline, in terms of props and food, based on last year's numbers, I think I was spending about, $600 a month So it depends on the month. I would say if you look at the numbers in November and December, it's October, November, December, because I'm doing all the holiday stuff, and that is literally my busy season. And if I kind of go quiet on YouTube during that time, you'll know why, because it's literally like that is go time. That is when I would say a third of my no, more than a third, probably even half of my business happens in the months of October, November, and December, because everybody is needing that content that's driven toward the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then getting into the new year with all the healthy stuff. And so that is when I've got a ton of work. And so those bills, that's like $1,500 for a month. So it kind of depends. So, Oh, yeah, you want to go back to the 80s. Yeah, commercial work, right? Well, and that's what's crazy. So I shot a cookbook a couple months ago, and it was, we were just, the food stylist and I were cracking up because we're like, it's just the two of us. It's a photographer and it's a food stylist. Whereas, and the client is there, but the client doesn't really necessarily have any thought. They gave their thoughts, and we, of course, did all the pre-planning and prep, but there's no art director. There's no prop stylist. There's no assistants. There's no nothing, because it's just the budgets aren't there, and so that is kind of just the current going rate of how things are today. So you do have to be smart from a business standpoint. I would say, actually, I've got a video coming out here very soon with another photographer who is here in Phoenix, who's a good friend, who's wildly talented. He's been in the industry for years and years, incredibly accomplished, does beautiful work. And he would even say that it's as much about being a smart business person as it is being a creative person to be a full-time photographer, in order to make a living off of this, that you really do have to have that business savvy. There is a great course that I signed up for. I have not taken it, but I'm always trying to expand my knowledge and education. I'm trying to remember what her name is. Jenny Maroney, if you guys have seen that. She is a lifestyle photographer, family, kids kind of stuff. And so she's got a course, which, based on what I've seen so far, is a lot of the kind of stuff, just understanding what are your expenses, what is your income, what do you need to make, how do you set your rates. And you don't necessarily want to just base it purely on what somebody else is doing, because that may not be the business model for you, depending on how much money you want to make, depending on the place where you live. There's like so many factors to it. So Jenny Maroney, if you just Google her, let's see, Jenny Maroney, go check it out. She's got a business course, a photography business course. Are you ready to get into the photography business, Blaze?
Well, no, but
here, come talk to them. He's like hanging out on the side. No, you don't want to be on camera? He's right here.
I'm not doing that. I literally need this. I literally want the speaker to the headphones.
You want the speaker to the headphones? Maybe Daddy's got it. We're playing piano in the other room.
It's somewhere else.
It's somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in here, I think.
Oh, well, you should go find it. I don't know where it is. Let's see, what else? Kids, I know, it's unpredictable. You just never know. That's why you guys are so patient. Yes, food photography outside is literally, okay, so the next video, in terms of the lineup of what's coming up, next week we've got, what have we got coming up next week? Next week
Mommy,
is yes, sir.
What's this?
That is so that I can oil my cutting board.
Why do you oil it?
You got to oil your cutting board so that it doesn't crack and it stays really nice. Use some mineral oil, right? Right? You guys know this. Anyways, so next week is the how to, like, in terms of sizing your images, the quality, like all the export information, like when you're making decisions about exporting your image, depending on where it's going, what decisions, color space, all that. So that's the next video. And then the week after that, we will either do the calibration, so how to calibrate your monitor so that you're getting the true clear colors and all that stuff, or it will be the shooting outside. I'm not sure which order those two will go in, but one of them will be shooting outside and one of them will be calibrating your monitor. So that should be not next week, the week after. So stay tuned. For sure it's coming. Yeah.
What's this?
This is the cream for putting on your board so that it moisturizes your board, because I got some high maintenance cutting boards in this place. All right. Saturday with the kids. Exactly. Everybody's home. So you guys are awesome. So how long have you been on here? About a half hour. Okay. Well,
What's this?
mineral oil. All right. So this is probably my cue to go and finish up. And 2, I've got a shoot to go to tonight. I don't typically do a lot of event photography, but for the right client and, you know, because it was on a whim, I'm going to go do some event photography tonight. I don't like event photography because I don't have the control over it. That's why I like food photography in the studio, because I have total control. Whereas clearly the rest of my life, not so much. So that's why, but, you know, we'll live on the edge. And Todd English is going to be there tonight. So there's a good chance that I get to meet Todd English, which, if any of you are big fans, I know I'm excited. So, all right. So I think that's it. I think we survived OBS. I will definitely check into the streaming and the, you know, all that jazz. Thanks for being patient with me. All the technologies are kind of overwhelming, but I take them a step at a time, right? One step at a time. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two. Certainly, if you have any questions, you'll let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. So, all right. Well, take care of yourselves, you guys. Have a great weekend. Arrivederci, amici. Adios. Stop streaming. There we go.